Guys, I just wanted to do a really quick tutorial on a great workflow for FCP 10, Final Cut Pro 10. I found it over at Ripple Training. Steve Martin did an article about it, and I'm just going to do a video on it. So right now, here I am working on my MacBook Pro. I've got almost 6 gig of memory free, and I'm going to open up Final Cut Pro. Okay. We're going to wait a couple seconds. It's going to try to load into RAM a ton of events and projects that I've got going on. And this is one of the major problems, is that it's trying to do this all at the same time. You're going to see right there on the screen in a second, it's going to start loading everything. And I'm just going to sit here and babble on while it does it. Just because I want to show you the difference between how it opens loading all my events and all my projects versus what we're going to do. And what we're going to do is create disk images for each project and event. So projects and events that go with those projects are all going to be self-contained within disk images that don't have to be loaded mounted except for when you're ready to work on those. Couple of bonuses to that is it's twofold. One, you're not trying to load all this stuff into your RAM. Two, if I have a bunch of projects that I don't want other clients to see, then they're not going to see those except for when, they're only going to see what I load and what they see. So that just took like 20-30 seconds to load, maybe more. I don't know. I wasn't counting. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to create a disk image. I'm going to move this event, Gordon's Memorial Service and Gordon's Memorial Video, and the projects associated with that into its own disk image. Okay, so let's see what we can do. First, I'm going to close down Final Cut. I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and open up Disk Utility. And what we're going to do is we are going to create a new disk image for this event. So let's see what we can do. Okay, we're going to go New Blank Disk Image. I'm going to call it Gordon's FCPX. Then we're going to go down here. Oops, I'm going to call this Gordon's FCPX. Okay, now for size, we're going to create custom, okay? I know that with the render files and the video and image and audio files, that project is running right around 67 gig. Both events and the project that goes with those events. So I'm going to make this for, oops, not 770, but 70 gig, okay? So we're going to make it for 70 gig. I'm going to load it onto this disk over here, the Fastboy. And I know that I have space on there for that, okay? So we're going to do that. And down here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create it as a sparse disk image. The benefit of doing a sparse disk image is that even if you start a brand new project and you don't have anything in that disk image, you can write to it and the disk will grow with the material you put in there. So even if you create, even if I created a 70 gig disk image, I can start with 0 gigs in it, and as I create the events and the projects, it'll write to that disk image. The downside is that if I delete items from it, it doesn't take away. It doesn't, make the disk smaller. So initially, if I put this disk image on the Fastboy and I start writing to it and there's really nothing into it, it's only going to take up, if I put a 10 gig file in there, it'll only be a 10 gig disk image, but it'll be able to expand to 70 gig. But once I get to 50 or 60 gigs and I delete 13 gigs of video, it's not going to shrink by 13 gigs anymore. As it increases, it stays the size that you've increased it to. Hopefully I'm making sense. And by all means, if I'm not, being clear, if you're not understanding me, you can always go to rippletraining.com and look up the article under, I think it's under quick tips. Got it right here, right there. So you can just go to this site, rippletraining.com, managing FCP 10 events. Great article by Steve Martin. Anyways, so I'm not doing anything original here. I'm just passing on some information. So you're going to go ahead and make that a sparse disk image. Then you're going to create it. It's going to create the disk image. It's going to save it into the Fastboy, and then it's going to mount it. So there we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open up that disk image. Call me strange, but I like the full meal deal. I like to see everything. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open up my Fastboy. Open up I'm going to do this. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to try and create Final Cut events. Final Cut PROD, Final Cut projects. Okay, so we've got that. Now I'm going to go ahead and open up over here. I'm going to take this Gordon's Memorial Service and Gordon's Memorial Video, move those both into that. Okay, that's going to take a little bit of time. That's okay though. We're going to let that do its thing. Then I'm going to open up Final Cut Projects. I'm going to go back here, go to Final Cut Projects. Go to Gordon Memorial, move that into there, let that do its thing. Now you see right now it's copying it, okay, and that's fine. I'm going to let it copy, and then, we'll see. I'm going to delete the other one from there. All right, so the files have been transferred. I'm going to do a little cleanup here. I'm going to go into here, ditch those, go into here, ditch that, of course verify that I've got everything right. So Final Cut events, it's copied. Final Cut project, it's copied. Of course it is, because we just saw it. Do the old-fashioned, get rid of the trash. Okay, so there we go. There's that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open Final Cut. And it's still going to take a little while to open, just because I still have a ton of other events and projects in there. But what you'll notice is that as soon as I open it up, this disk image is going to be right there. And if I want to get rid of that disk image, if I don't want that event to load, so that I can save some time, okay, let's just do this. Let's close it down. I know I'm being redundant here. I'm just taking a bunch of steps, but I just want to show how fast, or how much faster, I should say, things will be by not having, that event, those projects opening up. So here we go. I ejected that disk image, and it's opening up. And if I do the same thing for some of the other events I have, literally just between the very first time I opened up Final Cut Pro to this time, I've cut in half how long it took to open. And now that project's not showing up, and way better. So there you go. There's just a little tip on how to speed things up, a little workflow for you. You can watch this. You can read the article written by Steve Martin over at rippletraining.com. That's it. I hope you enjoyed this. Hope it helps.